That's pretty cool. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Adam Silver prefers shorter quarters. The Utah Hockey Club searches for a nickname, and Booger McFarland joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with Victor Wembanyama getting pushed to the ground last night by the Clippers' Ivica Zubac and not getting any call. After he got up, Wembanyama kind of rushed at Zubac, but without any enthusiasm for fisticuffs.
Hold me back.
After the game, Wembanyama expressed frustration that he isn't getting his fair share of calls from the officials. Wilbon, everyone knows you love Wembanyama. Are you with him on this?
Yeah, I'm with him, but so what? I'm with him, but this is an apprenticeship. He's in the intern phase. He's in the son carry my bag phase, which is what would have happened back 100 years ago when even the great Charles Barkley had to carry bags from Moses Malone and Julius the Dr. Irving. That's what this is. So Wembanyama was pushed. He should be angry. He should get up and say, hold me back, as he goes after Zubac, and then nothing should happen. Now, teammates and coaches, to me, really should take this up. Wembanyama is going to carry them to the promised land, all right? Not anybody else. They got to hope my man, Chris Paul, is still with them. Wembanyama can carry them all the way in a couple of years. He can. So he was pushed. Yeah. They should do anything in their power to be on his good side and talk him up to the refs too. But it takes time, Tony. You got to earn those, and he hadn't earned it yet. Not yet.
Let's discuss who else didn't get any calls. Wilt Chamberlain didn't get any calls. He got hacked, he got bumped, and the referee said live with it. Shaq, most powerful man in the game when he was there, didn't get any calls. Referees basically said, you want to hit him, hit him. Wembanyama doesn't have a body type like them. Wembanyama is intimidatingly tall, but it's just tall, like Manute Bol, like Ralph Sampson. He's not built like Yao Ming. He's not solid like that. You get the sense that anybody could sort of push him around. And plus, Mike, and we have to acknowledge this, he's 42nd now in free throw attempts in the league, which isn't high up, but almost half of his attempts are three-pointers. Yeah, almost literally. 2/3 of his attempts are from 10 feet and out. If you want to get calls, you got to pursue that. You have to get low down like Giannis does. Giannis plays around the rim and he gets calls. Embiid, when he does play, looks for contact. Anthony Davis plays low. He only takes 2 threes a game. Wembanyama takes 9 threes a game.
Tony, it's okay to keep that style. I think it is because he's expanding the game. I mean, he is. He's for a guy his size. But he's not going to get it overnight. And it doesn't happen that way. You mentioned, you're right. Those other guys served their apprenticeships. I think we'll agree. I think you and I have watched the game long enough. Wilt and Shaq got fouled more than anybody and harder than anybody.
Yes.
And they did.
Yes.
So suck it up, kid. Tone, we have discussed a lot whether the NBA should reduce the length of schedule. It should. Well, Adam Silver just floated reducing the length of the NBA's games. The league's commissioner told Dan Patrick yesterday he's a fan of chopping the length of NBA quarters from 12 minutes to 10. Silver said, quote, I think a 2-hour game is more consistent with modern television habits, close quote. Tone, is Silver right to embrace a game that is 8 minutes shorter?
Okay, well, let me give you the first downside. The first downside is if you do that, you will never again see anybody set a single game record in any category. Wilt's 100 will be safe,
that's right.
Obviously. But that's not why Adam Silver wants to do this. Adam Silver knows that around the world, the game is played in 10-minute quarters, and he wants to market his product around the world. And the second thing is he realizes that at the moment, people are not embracing the length of this game in basketball, and baseball understood this earlier on than Adam Silver understood this. Adam Silver's NBA ratings are cratering in the regular season. People are not consuming the whole game. They are consuming highlights at this point. So you have to do something. There are some corollary benefits, Mike. If you reduce the amount of time in the game, you may get your better players out there for a higher percentage of the game. If they play 36 to 40 in a 48, they may play 34, 35 in a 40. So they're out there longer. Maybe with less time, they don't get hurt as much. Maybe with less time, there's no load management. I mean, those things are all possible. I actually think this is a pretty good idea because I watched baseball get higher ratings this year with a pitch clock.
Tone, I don't disagree with any of that. I would point this out. You know, this is Adam Silver's way of getting at something I would want to do differently, but it would never be accepted. Cut the damn season. Because if you look at those minutes and you total that up on an 82 game season, you're talking about chopping essentially 13 games. Well, that's what I would do. I'd chop 12 games to get to 70, because that's about how long the NBA season ought to be. But they can't get away with that because the players don't want to make less money. The owners don't want to make less money. So if you do a little sleight of hand, and you hope nobody's really paying attention. But the question is ownership going to want to cut players' pay, anyway? Are they going to want to cut 1/6 from their paychecks? The union still isn't going to go for that. I'm talking for Andre Iguodala now. They're not going to want to do that, Tone. So again, I don't disagree with you. And remember, the league doesn't want to just market overseas. It already does that successfully. They want to have like a league in Europe, and the whole world plays the 10-minute quarters. So I'm okay with it, Tone, but they don't want to. The season should be cut, not the games.
I'll just tell you, basketball and baseball are better off around 2 hours.
They are.
The NFL is not. The NFL is 3 to 3:15.
2:11 anyway.
53 million people watch Buffalo play Kansas City. Adam Silver could give away money and not get that kind of crowd. We move now to the Utah NHL team and their nickname issue. The team had been planning to call themselves the Utah Yeti, but the Yeti Cooler Company owns that trademark and legally blocked the Utah hockey effort. So now the team has announced it will choose its nickname through in-arena fan voting in the next 4 home games. The nickname choices are Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, or Utah Wasatch, after the in-state mountain range, which I hope I pronounced correctly. Apparently, a Yeti-like logo could be used depending upon the nickname. Wilbon, which nickname would you vote for?
I got to start off by saying Yeti. That sounds like something that would have been suggested by Johnny Carson in the mid-'70s. The Yeti. Wasn't that word a staple of Johnny Carson jokes? Wasatch, I've spent enough time in Utah to understand what the Wasatch Mountains and how often Wasatch is used. But Utah Hockey Club, Tone, UHC, Utah Hockey Club, that's the way to go. Washington football team got this wrong. They had a chance to do it and sort of piggyback off soccer, but they screwed it up. But Utah should get this right. Utah Hockey Club. That's the way to go.
Yeah, first of all, I need to point out that 95% of Americans do not know there's an NHL team in Utah at the moment. Which one do I like? I mean, I love the Yeti logo, the big sort of furry, abominable snowman look that lives, in the woods somewhere like they have in that beef jerky commercial. And I suppose if I understand Mammoth correctly, it's a large elephant with those tusks that are very curled, and both of those would be okay. That'll be okay. What amazes me, Mike, is they're going to do this in the next 4 games in-house,
like that.
Which means there's an unbelievably disproportionate share here for season ticket holders. And if you're a fan who watches on TV, you might feel disenfranchised. But if I'm the team, I want to pay off the people that are actually giving me money.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. But just like you, because we are old and in the wrong demo, yes, Utah Hockey Club. Of course, Utah Hockey Club.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't paid attention. I thought they were going to be the bees from the Beehive State. We've got NFL questions for our great friend, ESPN NFL and college football analyst, Booger McFarland, wearing a Caves Valley shirt, Wilbon. How many times have we played Caves Valley? That is a great track in Baltimore.
You more than me.
Let's start with this. Last week on this high-quality cable TV show, you predicted that Steve Spagnuolo would blitz, in a crucial down late in the game. You were confident of that. You were right. How sure do you think Steve Spagnuolo was that it would work, and why weren't the Bills better prepared for it?
Well, I think he's 100% sure it will work. It's like me, you, and Wilbon standing on the first tee with driver. We don't get up there and say, you know what, let's hit this thing out of bounds. Like, we are 100% sure we're going to drive it right down the middle of the fairway, just like I think Steve Spagnuolo knew that if he called that blitz in that particular situation, it would get home. And I think based on things that he had done during the game, he knew that Buffalo was going to slide the offensive line a certain way. And so now when Buffalo reduces the wide receiver split right next to the tackle, there's a little signal between the safety and the corner. Now the corner comes on a blitz and Buffalo has no idea. Listen, there is no excuse for Buffalo and Josh Allen and Joe Brady missing that blitz pickup. They're going to rule that all in the entire offseason. But it's just another opportunity and another case where Steve Spagnuolo got the best of a quarterback and an offensive coordinator.
Well, Booker, let's go back to the NFC Championship game where the refs may have got the best of all of us. They reminded everybody they could award a touchdown to the Eagles if the Commanders kept jumping off sides, trying to stop the brotherly shove. What did you think of that series? And as a defensive player of some magnitude, looking back, what would you do? What would your best teams do to deal with the tush push?
Well, I'll answer the last part of that first. I don't think there's anything you can do except get low. Like there's an old adage in football that says the low man wins. But here's the issue. When you go low, Hurts is going to go high. And now the guys behind him are going to push him over the top of the pile. So they're going to use what you normally do against you. I really think the only way to stop it is you got to do what Washington was doing. And you got to try to send somebody over the top. You got to guess the snap count. And I agree with what Washington did because here's the thing. When the ball is on like the half-yard line, if you're Washington and you jump off sides, it's only a 2-inch penalty. But somehow if you get the Philadelphia Eagles a false start, it's a 5-yard march backwards. So I agree. And I, like most of America, had no idea that you could just give somebody a touchdown. And I just wondered how long it would take because he said at some point, if you continue, my question would have been, at what point would it be? How many more times can I do this before you give him a touchdown?
That's right. As the great Richard Pryor said, how long? Let's go to some quarterback talk for a second, looking forward to the offseason. Of course, C.J. Stroud had that great rookie season, and he struggled a lot this year. And you know what defenses, really good ones, do with promising players. So what do you think that Jaden Daniels is going to have to work on in this offseason to prevent himself from having a sophomore slump?
Well, he's got to work on everything. I think the biggest jump you make in any job, especially the NFL, is from year 1 to year 2. You're more comfortable. You understand what to expect. You know how to do things. And so I think he's got to improve on everything, his running skills, his accuracy, his ball placement, all those things. But the bigger thing that has to happen in Washington, let's face it, Mike, they got to get more weapons around him. Just like in Houston, they didn't surround C.J. Stroud with enough weapons. Now, they tried to go out and do it during the season, trading for Stephon Diggs. He got hurt. But they got to get Jaden Daniels a lot of weapons. Like Terry McLaurin is a really good receiver. I love De'Ami Brown, but he needs a couple of more pieces. Zach Ertz is about as old as Tony Kornhauser, so I don't know how much longer he's going to play tight end. But you got to continue to surround him with pieces. And if you do that, I think the Washington Commanders have a really, really special quarterback. And I think the sky's the limit. We could be talking about a future MVP of the league. That's how good this young man is. And I think everyone in Washington knows it. And I want to see how many people gravitate to Washington. You know how, Mike, sometimes you get players in this league that everybody wants to go play with. Back in the day, we would want to go to Miami to play in Miami because of the sunshine and no state taxes. Nowadays, you gravitate toward people. Now, I got a feeling a lot of people are going to gravitate toward Washington and Jaden Daniels.
I'm sure that it doesn't hurt him, in your estimation, that he went to LSU. We will get you out of here on this. We're just about done with all the coaching vacancies. Is there any hire you feel particularly strongly about, either positively or negatively?
I think I look at Mike Vrabel. I think Vrabel was the belle of the ball. I think he got an unfair shake in Tennessee. His ability to win, his ability to be on the details, his ability to understand how to build a physical football team. Let's not forget, the team that ran the ball or is running the ball has won most of these games in the postseason. Well, I know one thing about a Mike Vrabel team. They're going to be very physical. They're going to understand the details of the football game. And I just like how tough they are. And I think Mike Vrabel, although he may not be ready to win now, because Drake May will just be in year 2, I do think in
Yeah.
the next 3 years, the New England Patriots are going to be in the postseason and they're going to make some noise. And I think if you're Robert Kraft, I understand why you make the move. Jared Mayo, I think, is going to be a really good head coach someday. But Robert Kraft, just like Jerry Jones, doesn't have time to wait. He's seen more of the golf course than he's got in front of him. And I think he wanted to win and wanted to win soon. And so you go out and you get Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel is going to make the New England Patriots a winner, to which I know a lot of people in America are going to put their head down because they've already won so much.
We're all on the second shot on 18, Booger. We all are. Thank you, Booger.
Thanks, Booger. Appreciate it.
Anytime, fellas.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, Isaiah Stewart takes exception to Tom